What's happening, everybody? Today we're talking about grit, okay? Chapter 3 and 4. Let's get it.
Yeah. I'm inspired. I'm inspired.
Hey there, guys. How's it going? My name is Sumit Chatterjee from the Flow Zone Academy, and I'm a flow state coach, which means that I help you feel better and perform better. Today we're talking about grit, why passion and resilience are the secrets to success. So we're talking about chapter 3 and chapter 4. Chapter 3 is about effort counts twice, okay? The importance of effort. I think this is really important because we understand that a lot of people confuse flow state with being effortless. It takes effort to get to effortlessness. We've got to understand that. So this is really important, okay? I'm just going to read through some of the things that I've emphasized and highlighted, and this is going to be a breakdown of this, okay? So if we overemphasize talent, we underemphasize everything else, okay? So there's this understanding that talent leads to achievement. However, if we have a misunderstanding of talent, or we have this talent bias in culture, how are we going to improve ourselves? It's like letting ourselves off the hook in a sense, okay? There's a study called the mundanity of excellence, okay? What they saw is excellence is comprised of countless aggregates of individual elements that are, in a sense, ordinary, very average, mundane things, but because there's so dozens of small skills and tasks and activities all in one, drilled into habit, and it's fitting together in an integrated system. And that's what makes it excellence. It's as if talent were some invisible substance behind the surface reality of performance. Some of us have it, some of us don't, some of us are natural athletes, some of us aren't. Okay, this kind of mindset. We have a bias in culture where we just throw up our hands and we go, oh, it's a gift, nobody can teach you that. Most accomplished swimmers almost invariably had parents who were interested in the sport. Alongside money to pay for coaching, travel to swim meets, and access to a pool, obviously. So this all refines the individual's elements as a swimmer to create one single flawless flow state performance. Of course, there are certain anatomical advantages that you can't really train for, but the main thing is greatness is doable, right? Greatness is many individual feats, accretion of mundane acts. Nietzsche wrote, with everything perfect, we do not ask how it came to be. Instead, we rejoice in the present fact as though it came out of the ground by magic. We prefer mystery over mundanity. We're not obliged to compare ourselves and find others lacking. To call someone divine means there's no need to compete. Mythologizing natural talent lets us off the hook, as I was saying, lets us relax into the status quo. Great things are accomplished by people who never tire of combining together the means available to them, so having that resourcefulness as well, right? One can name many great men who are very little gifted. So I believe the author, Mrs. Duckworth, quack, is basically, trying to find out what is a theory. This is something Marty Seligman told her, and I think kind of like dumbfounded her for like a moment, right? And so she created how exactly talent, effort, and skill and achievement all fit together. What I do for this is I want to kind of draw it out for you guys so it's easier to understand. So essentially, talent times effort equals skill, skill times effort equals achievement. Effort makes the skill productive. Talent is how quickly your skills improve when you invest effort. Achievement happens when you take acquired skills and then you put effort or you use them in some way. So John Irving, he's a novel writer, said, "One reason I have confidence in writing the kinds of novels I write is I have confidence in my stamina to go over something again and again, no matter how difficult it is." Okay, that sounds like grit to me. I spend more time revising a novel or screenplay more than I take to write the first draft. It doesn't hurt anybody to have to go slowly. Now it goes into the example of Will Smith, of course. Nowadays we know him as a different man in culture based on that weird Oscar event. However, he's always kind of been an inspiration for me. Specifically, this quote is very eye-opening about the kind of man, or the man he was, in a sense, right? So He says, the only thing that I see that is distinctly different about me is I'm not afraid to die on a treadmill. I will not be outworked, period. You might have more talent than me. You might be more smarter than me. You might be sexier than me. You might be all of those things. You got it on me in 9 categories. But if we get on the treadmill together, there's 2 things. You're getting off first, or I'm gonna die. It's really that simple, okay? So this kind of like, almost, what would I say, like a death warrant, right? This kind of mentality is very sharp. You know, it is very sharp, and you kind of see this in a lot of athletes, this kind of quality of ferocity, right? I think grit and ferocity are kind of like best friends. Woody Allen saying 80% of success in life is just showing up. Let's say we take away effort from talent. Now we just have unmet potential. It's what you could have done but didn't. You see? So you might have a talent for something, but you're not giving effort into that talent. It's not going to transform into a skill set. As you're bringing this formula over here, skill times effort, use the skill that you gained from the talent with the effort, and you give effort to the skill to reach from skill to achievement. Okay, so I used to do this quite a bit, right? Before becoming a flow coach or even working with Joe, I was kind of skipping around from one pursuit to another pursuit. I was hyper creative, doing so many creative things at once that I just wasn't a very focused coach, right? But once I put my mind to one thing and one thing only, which was my flow coaching, results started to come in, right? It's because I did so many things, it scattered my mind, right? I didn't have that single pointed concentration. It was everywhere. And so I was spreading myself too thin. So this is what it says is, you know, that's not what gritty people do, is skip around from one pursuit to another, from one skill to an entirely different one. Grit isn't just working incredibly hard. It's about figuring out really hard problems longer than most people imagine. Of course, Rome wasn't built in a day, but as another author from Atomic Habits, James Clear, says, Rome wasn't built in a day. However, you got to put brick by brick to still create Rome. I really like this definition of grit. Grit is about working on something you care about so much that you're willing to stay loyal to it. It's not about just falling in love with what you do. It's about staying in love with what you do. Wow, powerful, really powerful. So how gritty are you? Let's take this grit scale. Okay, I'm gonna read out some of the prompts. My bad, guys, we had to stop because I had a client. So let's start back with this grit scale, okay? So number 1, 5 is not at all like me, and 1 is very much like me. So number 1 is new ideas and projects sometimes distract me from previous ones. Number 2, this is flipped, remember. So 1 is not at all like me, and the next one is the topmost one is very much like me, number 5, okay? Setbacks don't discourage me. I don't give up easily. Again, flipped. I often set a goal, but later choose to pursue a different one. I'm a hard worker. I have difficulty maintaining my focus on projects that take more than a few months to complete. I finish whatever I begin. My interests change from year to year. I'm diligent. I never give up. I've been obsessed with a certain idea or project for a short time, but later lost interest. I have overcome setbacks to conquer an important challenge. And the way you do this to check your total grit score is you add up all the points for the boxes you checked and you divide it by 10. 10% is a 2.5 grit score and 99% is a 4.9. So it's out of 5, okay? For example, if you scored a 4.1, you're grittier than about 70% of adults in their sample, okay? So that's really good. So grit has 2 components, passion and perseverance. So your passion is how steadily you hold to goals over time. Sustained, enduring devotion. Passion is like a compass, so the thing that takes you some time to build, tinker with, and finally get right, and then guides you on a long, winding road to where you ultimately want to be. As the Seattle Seahawks coach, Pete Carroll, says, do you have a life philosophy? Okay? Do you have a life philosophy? This is actually a really, really important question, guys, because before my life was super scattered and I didn't have any sense of purpose or meaning or moving forward with any kind of grit whatsoever, I didn't have a life philosophy. I just had a bunch of philosophies that I believed in, and I thought I was an omnist, and so I found the truth in all religions, and I kind of, combined it, but I didn't have my truth. I didn't have that real understanding of what it was, right? Which I started exploring then more specific types of philosophy like Taoism, Stoicism, and I saw Stoicism as like the fire, the stoic fire within, with the Taoism being the nature and the water, right? With the fire together creating smoke. And that is my philosophy. And I stand by that, man. Like I really, really stand by that, because now I'm starting to generate my own life philosophy using flow state, from fear to flow, sympathetic to parasympathetic. This is the journey. This is the journey to the higher self. This is the journey to betterment, where we transcend our anxiety through action. But it took me a while to figure that out. So what is your life philosophy? Pete talks about maintaining a hierarchy of goals, okay? So there's top-level goals, mid-level goals, and low-level goals. Between the lowest and the highest, there's several layers of mid-level goals. For instance, getting out the door at 8 a.m. is a low-level goal. It only matters because of a mid-level goal, arriving to work on time, you see? So the questioning goes, why do you care about that? Because you want to be punctual. And why do you care about that? Because being punctual shows respect for the people with whom you work. Why do you care about that, or why is that important? Because you strive to be a good leader. You see, now you're getting more clarity of your objective or your goal, right? And you can even, like me personally speaking, you can change the word goal to anything, right? Intention, mission. If the word goal doesn't resonate, like for me it doesn't, it just doesn't do anything. It's like whatever floats your boat, it doesn't float my boat. You know what I mean? So I'll change the word to something else. I love intention. I love the word intention. So I know you could say that goals and intentions are different, but I think an intention is a lot more overarching, right? It's more thematic. It's more of a motif that guides your life like an organizing principle, okay? Passion is caring about the same ultimate goal in a loyal, steady way. Over-eager to take even the smallest step forward instead of side to side or some other destination. Some might call your focus obsessive, as Angela tells us, right? Whack, whack. Pledge allegiance to your life philosophy, because your life philosophy organizes basically pretty much all of your waking life. Then they have a way to compartmentalize the goals, like I said, from hierarchies. In some, the more unified, aligned, and coordinated our goal hierarchies, the better. You have to have it coordinated. It can't be like randomly, in a map somewhere. So one of the mottos of the Green Berets is improvise, adapt, and overcome, okay? And it kind of sounds like a general or cliche advice, like if at first you don't succeed, try and try again, right? This kind of stuff. At lower levels of a goal hierarchy, that's maybe what they need. But sometimes what I've understood is changing your approach. Like let's say you get the big trophy at the end, right? Now what is it? What is your next goal after that, right? People are going to challenge you. People are going to test you. In a sense, it has got to match up with your life philosophy in some sense. I'm changing my approach. I'm now going into teaching sports. Okay, I got an injury. Now I want to give back. I want to contribute. What are your core needs, right? Do you want to contribute? Do you want to be more certain in life and have that settlement? Do you want to, have various things that you're doing? Do you want to have more love and connection in your life? Like, what do you value? So Bob Mankoff was originally, he was a stand-up comic, and then he went on to draw cartoons and things like that for, I believe it was the New Yorker, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. His top-level goal was very ambitious. He wanted to be among the best cartoonists in the world, okay? And this is why you gotta really dream big, okay? If you have that, you're just gonna get that persistence of motive, in a sense. The first 10 and the first last most eminent geniuses and least eminent geniuses. What were the main differences, right, between these? I'm gonna end this video right now with these indicators, which can be kind of rephrased as passion items for the grit scale, right? Which is degree to which he works with distant objects in view, active preparation for later life, tendency not to abandon tasks for mere changeability, not seeking something fresh because of novelty, not looking for a change, degree of strength of will or perseverance, quiet determination to stick to a course once decided upon, tendency not to abandon tasks in the face of obstacles, perseverance, tenacity, doggedness. Cox concluded that high but not the highest intelligence combined with the greatest degree of persistence will achieve greater eminence than the highest degree of intelligence with somewhat less persistence. Really powerful. That was chapters 3 and 4 for you. Okay, very powerful book. Definitely go get it. This was my main points of how I summarized it, how I pieced things together. You know, if you want to hear more about this, ask me any questions, let's coach together one-on-one. I am a peak performance coach. I mainly focus more on mindful peak performance, because peak performance is basically like keeping a checklist, like, you know, getting enough sleep, you know, doing the work, Pomodoro, all this kind of stuff that YouTubers, like a lot of focus YouTubers tell you. I'm not in it for that, man. I'm looking at altered states of consciousness. I'm looking at whether you're actually feeling good within your body, right, and your mind, and truthfully, like, glowing as a person, like being the best version of you, being charismatic, being tapped in and into the flow state. That's what I'm most inspired by. So if that speaks to you, if that resonates with you, you know who to call. Flow Busters. Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. And I'll speak to you later. Subscribe.